everyone. Hope you've had a wonderful week, and we're quarantine cooking again with the Daniels. And today we are making Cantonese roasted duck. And Hannah, what are you making?
I'm making mac and cheese.
And Daddy?
Yellow squash.
All right, and we are ready to go. Okay, so this duck has been marinating for 24 hours in a marinade that I made. Funnel seed, white wine, salt and pepper, and a little bit of Hussein sauce. And so with a duck, because the skin is so fatty, I marinated it, and now it had to sit for 1 hour, and it's set in the refrigerator for 1 hour so the skin could get nice and palatable. So I want you to come take a look at the skin, Stephen. This is really important. You can see the little squares in the skin. And so now what we're going to do, I'm going to punch holes in the skin just lightly underneath the skin of the duck. It's really thick, just so some of the oil can be released when we're cooking the duck. So you just stick a little hole, and this is just a skewer that I'm using. I'm just sticking holes in the skin, just underneath the skin. I've done a few of these already, but that's so we can release some of that oil and get some of the good juices inside the duck. So I'm going to turn the duck over. And this is Diahann duck, by the way. I gave her a name. But this is probably the most ambitious thing that I've ever tried to cook during quarantine cooking. And so here's our Cantonese roasted duck. And we're going to roast it in the oven for about an hour and a half. And as soon as I get finished punching these holes in here, just a few more. A little tough there. Okay, now there we go. So I have my dry rub, and again, my dry rub, I use salt and pepper, fennel seeds, cayenne pepper, and I also use some Hussein sauce inside. So I'm just going to rub on this duck, and we're going to rub it really, really well. I'm going to rub it on the inside, and I'm going to turn it over and rub it. And this, a duck calls actually for two types of rub. You have to do a dry rub, and I'm getting a little messy here. We have to do a dry rub and also a wet rub. And I'm going to show you the wet rub in a few seconds here. So this is our duck. And we cut the wings off so it'll cook better. And in addition to that, I'm also going to do something a little different that I saw on, actually on a Facebook video. I'm going to stuff my duck with some green onions and some basil leaves and also some red onions. So I've already washed the green onions, so I'm going to stuff the duck to give it a little bit more flavor. And I'm even thinking about stuffing it, putting a little rice in there. I saw that on a Facebook video where these people, they actually stuffed a whole lamb, and they put rice inside of it, and it just looked wonderful. So I'm going to stuff this duck with this green onions. So I'm going to put the green onions, I'm going to turn them over and stuff the green onions inside. And I'm just going to chop the red onion. Oh, let me put a few more green onions in here. And you can go ahead, Daddy and Pastor, and put those in the skillet over there. Let me just turn this on for you. Pastor's making, you can show Pastor with that butter squash, Stevie. And then we're going to add some butter to that, Robert, once it starts cooking. Okay, Stevie. And okay, here we have the red onions. I'm not going to make them really small, but I'm going to put these red onions and also the basil inside of this duck. So here we go here. You can see I'm stuffing them really good. I'm going to get those seasonings inside that duck. You see it's nice in there. And please put that butter in there once it starts cooking a little bit. Thank you, Pastor. Okay, so we're going to put that inside the duck. And there, Diahann is almost ready here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the wet sauce. So with the wet sauce, and this is going to give the duck the really crispy brown flavor on the outside, I'm going to use a tablespoon of hoisin sauce, just a little bit more. And I'm going to use soy sauce. I'm going to use about 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce. Are you finished? Okay. And I'm also going to use some rice wine. Again, this is going to be our wet rub. I'm going to use a little rice wine. Rice wine, that's a tongue twister. And I'm going to use some honey. And the honey gives the duck that really pretty brown glaze as well. And I'm going to add just a little bit of chili pepper. The recipe didn't call for this, but I like my sauce is a little spicy. So I'm going to just add a little bit of hot chili oil to my wet sauce. And I'm going to mix these three up. Okay. You can come over here. Okay, thank you, Pastor. That's good. And we're going to have you put the top on that. That's perfect. Thank you. And I'll add a little seasoning to there. Okay, now, so what we're going to do, I'm going to add this sauce, this wet sauce, to this water that's been boiling. And what we're going to do is we're going to dip the duck. This is the most important part. In order to get that crispy brown flavoring on the skin of the duck, I'm going to marinate this duck in this sauce. Okay, so thank you, Pastor. Well, Pastor, would you put the macaroni and cheese in the bottom oven, please? Okay. So here's our duck. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put him in this sauce. Like I said, this is quite a process. So he's been marinating again for 24 hours, and now we're going to put this wet sauce over our duck and see how his skin is just absorbing. I put those holes in there, and his skin is just going to absorb this wonderful sauce. And then we're going to let him sit for a few minutes, about 20 minutes, before I put him in the oven. But I wanted you to see this process. You have to really soak your duck and let that nice flavor get on his skin. So I'm going to do this a couple of times. Oh, it smells wonderful. Okay, there we go here. See our beautiful duck. We're going to get him nice and soak him really, really well. Okay, I'm just going to turn him over on this side. And after you marinate them and dip them in the wet sauce, you have to let him, or her, I think this is a she, we're going to let Diahann just sit for about 10 minutes and let her absorb these nice juices. Okay, so I'm going to take her out now. I'm going to save this juice. Okay, here she goes. So we're going to put her on this rack. There she is. Now I'm just going to let her sit for a few minutes. She looks really, really good. I'm going to take this out, and we're going to let our duck sit for a few minutes, and then we're going to come back, put her in the oven, and we're going to cook. So I'll be right back. We're going to put Diahann and let her sit for about 10 minutes to absorb some of the sauce, some of the wet sauce, and then we're going to come right back. Okay, we're putting our duck in, and he's going to go in the oven. We're going to let him roast for about 40 minutes on each side. There we go. Okay, and now while the duck is roasting, I am going to start on the neck. The neck is real flavorful. I'm going to make like a gravy. Remember I told you I kept those seasonings, those wet seasonings. So I'm going to use some of that, and I'm going to make a nice gravy, a duck gravy to go over the rice. Okay, and let's just also, while we're here, let's just take a peek at our butternut squash. So our squash is looking really yummy, yummy. I may add a little piece of basil to that squash. I'm going to turn that down. Okay, and we'll let the squash cook, and we'll be right back. Okay, there's Hannah's mac and cheese. It's looking delicious. Let me just take a peek here. See how that mac and cheese is coming? Okay, I think it needs about 10 more minutes, but it looks really, really yummy. And Henny and Mommy, yay! been cooking, oh my goodness, for about 25 minutes, and she's looking really yummy. Oh, and it smells so good. Oh, thank you, Lord. So here's my first Cantonese roasted duck. And again, marinate for 24 hours in a marinade. And then you season it, do a rub, do a wet sauce. And isn't she pretty? Oh, Lord bless you, Diahann. I hope she tastes as good as she looks. Stay healthy and stay happy. Bye-bye.